Hello, everyone, and welcome to In Full Swing. This is the first episode of a podcast where we will be going over MLB news, scores, and predictions. My name is Logan Bouchel, and I'm joined with... And today we're going to be talking about the many rule changes in the MLB and how it's changed the game, viewing from two different perspectives. Today we're going to be going over the addition of the pitch clock, bigger base sizes, and limiting pickoff attempts. Josh, do you want to go over the basics of the pitch clock and your opinion on it?
Yeah, so the new rule is that pitchers will have 15 seconds to throw a pitch with the bases empty and 20 seconds with a runner on the base. Hitters need to be in the batter's box within 8 seconds on the pitch clock. If they don't throw the pitch, they will be charged with a ball, and if the batter delays entering the box, from my perspective as a more casual viewer of baseball, I think this is a good improvement for the game as it makes it a bit more fast-paced and more interesting to watch, especially if, for someone like me, I'm just going to turn on the news real quick and see what's happening, and if I just see it, kind of like the mental chess game that goes on between the batter and the pitcher, I might lose interest. But if I go on and then within 20 seconds of me, tuning into the game, the pitcher's throwing a ball and the batter's swinging a miss or swinging a hit, it just keeps the game a little bit more interesting for someone like me.
Yeah, for sure. I can see. And then also from my perspective, I like it, but at the same time, it's kind of iffy. I think since I've watched baseball for so long and will tune in for full games and stuff like that, it's kind of more of just I find it weird before I find it no, this is dumb. I just never thought anything like that. But having gone to two Phillies games now this season, it's crazy to see the time difference. I went to one this past weekend, and it was only 2.5 hours, whereas I'd go before, and I could be there from anywhere to 3 to 4 hours. So,
Does it feel like you're getting less of your, money's worth for the ticket because, your time is, almost cut in half?
Yeah, I jokingly said that with my friends that I went with. The one is an avid baseball watcher like me, and he thought the same thing. He was like, man, we paid for these tickets, and now we're seeing half the game, but... Then again, if you think about it, half the game that's wasted is just them throwing over or the time in between pitches. And it's not so much even important things. It's just little stuff like throwing the ball over. And we'll talk about that later with the pickoff attempts. But yeah, that was it. I don't think it was so much losing my money, but more so left unsatisfied because I was like, man, these games used to be so much longer.
Yeah.
So... And like I said earlier, they limited pickoff attempts this year. Before, it was just completely unlimited. You could throw over as many times as you want. But now, to speed up the game, they allow 2 pickoff attempts. And then on the third, if the pitcher doesn't get the batter out, they're given a balk, which means the runner can go from first to second or second to third and so on. So, yeah, that's a big change. And... Thank God I'm not a pitcher because that would probably annoy me. And I can see some pitchers maybe forgetting and just throwing over anyways. So, yeah.
Well, there's kind of a good news on that is if the pitchers do throw that third time and they do get an out, they're not charged with the balk. So it's only in that instance where if they were to kind of do a fake out or if they were to step off and they weren't to get it out, then they would be charged with the balk. But I kind of see what you're saying because that... They're not getting a balk is also reliant on other people catching the ball or making the play.
It also adds a whole nother thing for them to think about on top of the batter they have and then the base runner. They also got to think, man, I only have 2 or 3 attempts at this.
Yeah.
So, but having been and watched games this season, I think it's cool is that the pitchers you can tell aren't doing the lazy, let me just throw over to check them, to keep them in space. It's no, if they're throwing over, they're zipping it over there as fast as possible.
So do you feel like it's kind of been more of an improvement? Because now, and not the pitchers weren't working hard before, but now you can kind of see there's a little bit more of kind of a mind game between the pitcher and the runners. As before it was the base runners just kind of wait for the pitcher to look away.
Yeah.
He's not really looking away. But now it's the pitcher has to be very careful when he throws the ball.
Yeah, it's almost like adding another mini game to the game itself because it's just another thing to think about if you're a pitcher and base runner. From that perspective, it's probably great because you can get them to throw over multiple times if you take a big enough lead. So yeah, it's probably caused more to the whole base running thing, which also goes into what we're going to talk about next with the bases.
Yeah, so the new rule for the bases is the size of bases from corner to corner diagonally have been increased from 15 inches to 18 inches. And so this is a little bit to decrease the injuries around them, but also increase the stolen base attempts.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the stats from opening day this year compared to last year, in 2022, which is last season, there were 5 stolen base attempts, 5 stolen bases, and 4 were caught stealing on opening day, which was a success rate of 56%. Whereas this year on opening day, they stole 21 bases and only 2 people were caught stealing with a 91% success rate, which is just honestly a crazy stat and basically shows it's a little easier now to steal bases, and I think teams are looking to steal bases more now because the bases are bigger and it's easier to do. So
yeah, and I think as a casual viewer, that definitely makes it a lot more interesting because like that's one of the coolest parts of baseball besides like last minute throws and exciting catches and plays.
That's it from us today at In Full Swing, and we hope you tune in next week. We'll see you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, he who breaks the rules goes back to the house of pain.